Shonen anime movies are weird because for the most part they're never considered canon, so when they come out usually they're just banking on the current popularity of the anime and manga, money.
Hello, I like money.
So it usually leads to this thing happening where if you don't see the movie for a shonen anime within the first year or so of it releasing, when it's really hyped, you're probably just never gonna watch it, because for the most part these movies are filler and rarely is there a real reason to watch them unless you just really love the series and want to see more of it. But I'm doing another really big video involving Naruto that kinda requires me to watch the movie, so I figured why not get some good content out of this experience by ranking and reviewing every single Naruto movie. This is gonna be a long video, so I'm keeping the intro rather short. Let's just get right into it. So just for context, my energy sounds a little different between reviews. I'm not recording the entire video in one sitting. I think there's 11 Naruto movies, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no way I can consume 11 hours of Naruto all at once and then go on to put together any meaningful type of video. It is just probably not gonna happen. So Naruto movie 1, titled Naruto the Movie Ninja Clash in the Land of the Snow. That's either such a terrible translation or they were going for some real SEO hitting type of title. I just don't know, but whatever. As I watched this movie, slowly but surely I started to remember everything about it. As a kid, Cartoon Network gassed up this movie heavy, and I had friends who were really hyped for it, and as it premiered on Friday night, I missed it. And I remember expecting to go to school that next week and hear everybody gas it up and gush about how great it was, but to my surprise, literally no one talked about it at all. And I don't think that speaks to the overall quality of this movie, but it does speak to the overall impact of not only this movie, but all of the Naruto movies. In retrospect, it just seems as if we were more excited in the idea of Naruto getting a movie rather than the movie itself, but whatever. So the movie opens to this war-torn battlefield, but surprise, it's just a movie that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are watching. And it's just one of the weird things, the one of many weird things that are gonna pop up in these movies. Who in their right mind would think that in the Naruto verse, yeah, movie theaters just exist. Ninja casually pull up to the movies and they watch, and I don't know, it's just a thing that I wouldn't have really thought about. So fast forward and we find out that Team 7 are basically on a mission serving as bodyguards for a movie cast. The lead actress of this movie happens to be a really mean-spirited and rude woman who happens to be a princess also. We find out though that she doesn't actively rule over her land, that land being the land of snow, seemingly resenting any idea of even ever entering the land of snow again, much less taking back the rule. She also has this crystal artifact that does something really important, I'm sure. I can't remember, and really Batman wants to steal the crystal along with being the one who stole the land of the snow from her family originally. And don't ask me why he wants the crystal, because honestly I don't remember that either. He just probably wants to do something really bad with it. I'll be honest, it doesn't really matter. And I know it seems like I'm not doing the best job of explaining the plot, but keep in mind I have to do this for 11 movies, and if I get overly detailed in this video with moment-to-moment plot threads, this would be even longer than what it already is. Plus, if you ask me, a lot of these movies have cool settings and characters and ideas. The plot themselves are far from the strongest attribute. For example, in this movie, the bad guys use something called chakra armor, and it amps their chakra while defending them from genjutsu and ninjutsu. And kinda, we'll get there. This sounds like something that would show up in Boruto, right though? So it's interesting to see it in one of just Naruto's one-off movies way back in 2005, I think this movie came out. Yeah, something like that. So Naruto and crew are on set and 3 ninja approach, one of which has a cool design, the other 2 not so much. One of them just looks like a female version of the character I do think looks cool, and the other one just looks like a great value version of the movie's main antagonist, so do with that what you will. The ninja know Kakashi, and this is one of those things that slowly fades out of my memory as time goes on and Naruto becomes less and less fresh on my mind as a series. Anybody knows who Kakashi is, and just a nice reminder that Kakashi really be in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? Kakashi really, the man didn't live about 4 lifetimes worth of living, you know what I'm saying? He really be out here. So they duke it out with 3 henchmen and fiend them off, and 2 things I want to point out here that are cool / funny. 1, the main henchman uses a jutsu that's literally just him spawning a giant well made of ice, and I'm goofy and I'm trying hard not to take these movies too serious so I can have as much fun as possible. So this one made me snicker. It was a nice little funny moment, because just why? He could have made some ice wolves or an ice tiger, some real threatening animals, but he chooses a whale. Now, the only reason I could think of him wanting to use a whale is because he wanted to, make something really big. But at that point, I just feel like he can just use like a giant block of ice or a giant boulder of ice. It doesn't need to be in the shape of a whale. But whatever, I get it. It's a movie. You need big, cool jutsu, and it being a whale is just more creative. So, fine. When I broke out into true laughter, though, is when Kakashi copies the jutsu and uses his ice well to block the bad guy's ice well, and they're just like cockfighting, but with wells. I don't know. It just feels silly. The second thing I want to point out is, remember how I said Naruto and gang are basically bodyguards for the movie cast, right? So you can't film a movie if your life is literally in danger, right? Wrong. It's implied the director uses the fights that take place in the movie as the action scenes in his movie, which just leads me to believe there's no way he made a coherent, competent movie doing this unless he was making some lowbrow action flick. Also, did they get paid? Because, you can't just use me while I'm literally fighting for my life and not pay me, but well, whatever, it's fine. Moving on, Naruto is carrying the snobby actress lady on his back through a tunnel, and as a kid, I remember this being a big part of the promo on Cartoon Network leading up this movie. So the big bad guy apparently creates train tracks made out of chakra, and the next thing Naruto knows is a full-blown train chasing him and the woman. Naruto manages to outrun the train and leap out of the way, leading to both of them being out of breath despite the lady literally doing nothing. We then get the big villain reveal, and he kind of just evens out to be your average power-hungry narcissist, but considering he really only gets about 40 minutes to show off, I won't hold it too much against him. That being said, I really hope he's not the bar for Naruto movie villains, because it's a pretty low bar, I'm not gonna lie. So word gets back that the princess is returning to the land of the snow, and a band of warriors come to take a stand against Gato, which, by the way, that's the name of the big baddie, and it just does not go well. They get absolutely slaughtered by this massive machine that fires hundreds of kunai. So, as I mentioned before, the princess isn't too thrilled on the idea of taking back her land too much. Trauma, or she's just lazy and doesn't want to. Whatever the case may be, doesn't really matter. Now, you think that maybe seeing her people get massacred, it would maybe light a fire in her and be like, nah, we gotta take a stand, we gotta fight back. It does not. She says some very cold and shiesty junk, like maybe something along the lines of, this is what happens when you fight back, or something like that. And harsh, very, very harsh. Now, she is not the first nihilistic asshole to exist in Naruto. That's not really my problem with her. My problem comes a few moments later. So from this confrontation, she ends up getting captured by Gato. Naruto, though, says, not on my watch, and chases after her in what appears to be a decent looking CGI blimp for the mid 2000s. This is a failed effort, though, as both of them end up in a prison cell, which, by the way, I just like to point out, if Naruto did get on this blimp and beat all of them up, what was his goal after that? Was he gonna land the blimp, jump out the blimp? I'm assuming Naruto can't fly a blimp. That just seemed as if it was a very, very dumb idea, but it's Naruto, so it's fine. They end up in chains as we fast forward a little bit in some prison cells because they're prisoners now, and yada, yada, yada. Not important. What's very important here is the chains. The more you resist, they shock you, right? So we know Naruto to be a kid who doesn't really give up, and he just keeps going and going and getting shocked, and eventually he breaks free. Now, across from his prison cell is the mean-spirited princess lady. And what proceeds to happen just baffles me, as it makes this character so stupid and very annoying. And honestly, just really lowered this movie down for me personally. And seeing Naruto just keep going against the chains and getting shocked and eventually break out, this inspires her. Now look, I get it. We really want to know home the whole Naruto's never give up attitude is so strong and passionate he can even light a fire in others where you wouldn't expect it. But if seeing dozens of her own people die for her didn't change her heart, why does Naruto getting shocked motivate her? I don't really get that. It's not as if you can argue she's closer to Naruto or anything, because she's known Naruto for, at this point, maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, and I'm pretty much stretching it at that point if you say a week. I just don't understand. It does not make any sense to me. And it's not like what Naruto did is any different from what all the people did, right? It's both just a sign of never giving up. And if anything, I say what the people did has a lot more weight, because getting shocked, dying, I don't know, then one of those things seems a little bit more punishing, but whatever, besides the point. They escape the prison cells and Gato shows off his little special chakra armor, and Kakashi has a nice line about, yeah, y'all protected from ninjutsu and genjutsu, but what about these hands, bum? That's not a direct quote, by the way, if you couldn't figure that out. Sasuke hits Gato with a Chidori and cracks his armor, then Naruto hits him with the Rasengan and breaks the armor, which is just something, because, you know, the ninjutsu that they were using wasn't working on the armor of the henchmen, and this is supposed to be an upgraded version, but whatever, it's fine. Naruto hits Gato with the Rasengan, and Gato does this pretty funny helicopter animation from getting hit with the Rasengan, which I guess makes sense, and the movie ends, and like spring comes to the land of snow and other cool things. Not a bad starting point, but I'm for sure hoping to see improvements with our next movie, Legend of the Stone of Gael. So it's becoming more and more clear to me that the hardest part about doing this video is for sure going to be summarizing each movie in a way that conveys the story but doesn't get bogged down into details. So for this point forward, I'm going to give a basic rundown, then point out the things I like and the details around those things, and the things I dislike and the details around those things. So the best way I could describe this second movie is if they grabbed a person who normally writes for the Final Fantasy games and gave them the Naruto IP and said, yeah, make some magic. In short, the story goes something like this. Naruto, Sakura, and Shikamaru are on a mission to recover a ferret. Yes, you heard me right, a ferret. Don't ask any questions, it's too much to explain. If you really want to get the gist of it, just go watch the movie. First positive, I really like the attention to continuity. At this point in the series, we're way past the Sasuke retrieval arc, so he's gone. So it makes sense that he doesn't make a real appearance in this movie. And also, just to keep up with continuity, Shikamaru is wearing his Chunin jacket because, again, this is after the Chunin exam arc. So, yeah, cool. Plus on that. So while on his mission, they're attacked, and Naruto goes head up with a character named Temujin. This guy who's on screen right now, unless you're not watching the video and you're just hearing the audio, then you can't see him. Just Google Temujin in the Legend of Stone of Gael. Who am I kidding? You probably don't care that much about this one-off movie character, but if you're really interested, that's his name, Temujin. And this leads to them both being badly injured and found and taken care of by a group of travelers. Naruto uses this as a chance to approach Temujin and ask why he attacked them. One thing leads to another, and Temujin ends up introducing Naruto to his master named Haido. There, Temujin and Haido explain their vision to make the world into a peaceful utopia and plan on achieving this goal with the power of insert movie title, the Stone of Gael. As I'm sure you're able to piece together, the stone is a very powerful artifact, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, things that don't matter. Something I found really interesting is the amount of details and lore they add into this movie. I don't think anyone would have had a problem if they said, hey, there's this stone and it's powerful and bad guys want it. But they didn't take that route. Now, the optimism in me wants to think that the writers wanted to do everything in their power to make this story convincing to a Naruto fan. I can barely say that with a straight face. The pessimist Jesus Christ. The pessimism in me thinks all this lore and backstory was just sprinkled into Path at runtime, because honestly, from the point of Naruto meeting Haido, not much happens to move the plot forward. There are fights and things of that nature, but nothing really worth covering, so let's just fast forward to the final battle. A few things I want to point out first though. One, I don't think I've said it yet in the script, and if I have, who cares, because I really need to know this home. Temujin is so boring. Like, way too boring for him to be the second, the character who's on screen second most, right behind Naruto. He's boring. He's very boring. He's very bland. And I truly believe the interesting bits of his character peaked at his introduction, when you don't know anything about him and he says nothing. And the more he's on screen and the more you learn about him, the less interesting he becomes. And the one thing that's really holding you over for him as a character is seeing how he's going to react when he finally finds out that Hado is just manipulating him in a pursuit of power. And he folds and he freezes up, which, yeah, I guess I'd be a little stunned if I realized the idea I've dedicated my entire life to for years is a scam and a lie too, but still, he's boring. Naruto has to give him a classic motivation speech to set him straight, and to his defense, in the lead up to the realization, I mean, I guess Haido did, like, rip a hole through his chest, but still, I don't care, dude, he's boring. One more thing before I finally just wrap up this movie. There are 4 transformations that the antagonists do in this movie. One that makes sense for the most part, and I'll let slide. The other 3, so Gaara, Kankuro, Sakura, and Shikamaru are in this movie, right? And they just have the role of helping fight the main henchmen of Haido for the most part. And during these fights, those henchmen do these weird human/animal transformations. Well, 2 of them, at least. The other one may be an animal transformation, but if it is, that animal isn't as obvious as the other 2, and she kind of just looks like a big, strong ogre or something. So, besides her, we have one henchman who turns into this human bat hybrid thing. So, she's like a bat woman in the very literal sense, not the superhero. And the other one is basically a werewolf. And to my knowledge and memory, it's not explained how or why they have the ability to do this. They just can. So that's a weird thing I thought was worth mentioning. And if they do mention how or why they can do that in the movie, and I just missed it, then oh well, it is what it is. It's too many movies for me to watch to rewatch this movie to find out and confirm if this is a thing, just for there to be a chance that there is nothing that says how or why they can do this. It's just pointless. It's just a weird thing that I want to point out. There are lots of weird things in these movies that I like to point out. And weird doesn't necessarily mean bad or good. It's just something that I find like, hey, don't really normally remember seeing anything of that nature in Naruto, so I'm just going to continue to point out weird things in these movies in the coming future parts of this video. The last transformation is Haido, but it's pretty obvious and clear that his transformation is the result of absorbing the power of the stone, and plus, if I'm being honest, his normal form didn't really radiate final boss energy, so fair enough, he needed it. Naruto and Temujin confront Haido. Naruto hits him with the Rasengan, and he does the funny helicopter animation again. Yes, please let this be a consistent thing in Naruto movies, and they win. But due to Hado using the stone and the world is ending or something, bad energy, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. And Temujin is the only one who can stop it. And to stop it, he must sacrifice himself. But spoilers, he stops it and Naruto saves him because you don't give up on your friends or something. So he doesn't even necessarily get punished for all the terrible deeds that he ends up doing. Even though he was manipulated, to be fair, but I mean, that'd make his character like a little interesting, you know, some self-sacrifice or something, but no, that doesn't happen. So Naruto saves him and they save the world because obviously, and there's like some prophetic thing that they show up. I don't know, this movie's weird, man, but yeah, they saved the day. That's the legend of the Stone of Gael or whatever this movie's called. This movie's like a smooth 2.5 out of 5 shuriken. I don't think I gave The Legend of Snow a rating, so I'll give it 1 now. That movie's like 2 out of 5 shuriken. On to the last in the Naruto trilogy. Actually, one last thing before we move on. Haido, yeah, obviously he's the main bad guy of the movie, but he was a positive. He wasn't like the most amazing or fleshed out villain in the world, but I appreciated him just because I need more villains who are just villains. As of late in stories, we just keep doing this thing where we have these morally ambiguous villains who aren't really villains. They're just only the antagonists because their ideas clash with the ideas of the protagonist, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's not a problem. Those are obviously some of the greatest villains in the world, have that DNA in them. But I just feel like in stories, it's getting a little oversaturated. All right, I'm personally tired of consuming villains in that way, in that light. And when they first mentioned how they were trying to build a utopia or whatever, yada yada yada, kind of rolled my eyes for a second. But as it slowly revealed that Haido was just manipulating the people around him into believing that, and he's really just a power hungry guy, it was a nice breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the most elaborate twist in the world, but I appreciated it, and I appreciated Haido a whole lot more than Gato. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out. Now on to the final Naruto movie. So yeah, what do I mean by Naruto trilogy? So out of the 11 movies, there are only 3 of the movies that take place during the time period of like the original Naruto run. So like that would be Naruto being a kid. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I thought that there would be more for some reason, but I definitely did expect there to be more Shippuden movies than just Naruto movies, because obviously Shippuden ran for a lot longer, so they had a lot more time to make movies. But yeah, really interesting. There are only 3, so that's something. That being said though, this movie, the 3rd in the Naruto trilogy, is definitely the best movie, easily, no contest. Let's get into it. And without the headpiece that they had on, so weird decision, just weird decision that doesn't get explained. More weird things in Naruto movies, but that's pretty much it. I know that it seems a little silly for me to say that this is the best movie out of the 3 Naruto movies, and yet I don't really have the most coherent thoughts on this, but I felt like this is probably the best approach, because also, if you get to this video and you're like, I've never seen any of the Naruto movies, maybe I can pick up 1 or 2 I really want to watch. I haven't seen the other ones yet because I'm watching them, then coming and writing, and then coming and recording. Like I said in the beginning, I can't watch all the movies and then write for all of them and then record for all of them. That'd be exhausting, 1. And 2, that'd make this video be way harder and way longer to make than it actually should be. But if you're coming in being like, hey, what are like the best of the Naruto movies? I just want to watch 1 or 2. As of right now, this one's up there. This one's definitely one I feel like you should probably watch. That being said though, let's see if we can keep this same momentum going into the first Naruto Shippuden movie. Hey, Awakened here. If the video feels like it's abruptly ending, that's because it kinda is. We're already 30 minutes in, and I only talked about 3 movies, and we have a few more to go, safe to say. So if I keep going at this rate, this video is going to be way too long, and no one's going to watch past maybe 10 or so minutes, and the video will tank and all my hard work will be wasted. So I'm just going to separate them into parts, and I'll do 2 or 3 movies apart every week until I'm done. And then that following week, when I'm done with whatever the last part's going to be, then that following week after that, I'll just make some giant supercut version of the video. So if you are one of the madmen who is willing to watch me ramble about Naruto for an hour and a half, you can do that if you want. But if you aren't a person like that, then I'll have all the parts just in a playlist, and you can just click the playlist and watch it, and it'll be all fine and dandy. New to the channel, hey, that's more incentive to subscribe so you don't miss me talk about the next handful of Naruto movies. I make videos of this quality or better. So subscribe, man. Leave a like. Let me know what your favorite Naruto movie is. If you've seen any of the Naruto movies, I don't think most Naruto fans have, but if you have, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm leaving.